for the commercial fallout of the scandal. I spoke to Jack Nerad, executive industry analyst with Kelley Blue Book. If GM should brace for the same kind of impact that Toyota suffered after their major recall.
Well, in some cases, it's too soon to tell, but the experience with Toyota, in Toyota's instance, they were talking about vehicles that were currently on sale, and it had some immediate impact because of that. But the overall long-term impact that we've found at Kelley Blue Book has not been all that great. As a matter of fact, Toyota has rebounded quite well from those dark days when the publicity was swirling around it in a negative way. And it's my expectation that this will happen with General Motors, that this is a big story now, certainly a congressional investigation, the potential criminal investigation of General Motors could affect consumers' perception of the brands that General Motors sells, but at the same time, it doesn't seem to be having a big effect right now in the marketplace.
I want to read you something from some of the research we've done here. It says, General Motors has said that in a 2005 company, engineers proposed solutions to the switch problem that you're talking about, but the automaker concluded that none represented a, quote, acceptable business case. What does that mean?
Well, it's kind of frightening what it might mean. What it might mean is fixing this and the money it would cost to fix it is too expensive. We don't want to do that just because of the expense involved in doing that. That's kind of chilling. One hopes that no company would put profits ahead of human lives. And we're certainly not saying that did happen. But there is inferences one could draw from that if that is indeed the case.
I suspect with the testimony that's happening right now on Capitol Hill that this particular story is not going to go away anytime soon. What should General Motors do? Now, I know that they've gone on record saying that there's going to be an internal investigation, but even with that in place, is there something else besides the recall that General Motors should deal, or at this point, do they just have to eat the recalls and wait until the internal investigation is over?
Well, I think General Motors is really doing what they should in this instance, and that is, and some might say belatedly, but they are making as much a disclosure as I've seen any car company make about this stuff. They were very forthcoming recently with a lot of documents. They have their CEO testifying before Congress almost literally as we're speaking here. So they have apologized to victims, something that is unprecedented. They established a new Office of Safety and appointed essentially a safety guru with a close communication line to the CEO to transmit safety problems of this type that might occur in the future. So they've changed things that they're doing very markedly, and they're trying to send the message: we are not approaching safety issues now in the way that we did as a different company, and they're trying to separate themselves, new GM versus old, the way they did in the pre-bankruptcy General Motors.
Critics are arguing that tougher regulations and tougher crimes would have perhaps mitigated or prevented this from happening. I'm wondering if you agree that that's what's necessary.
Well, I think a lot of things happened here that are lamentable at best, and perhaps much worse than that at worst. You're talking about a company, either new GM or old GM, a big company, very bureaucratic, and bottom line means a lot, as it does in most companies, and a culture. The culture of GM, certainly in the pre-bankruptcy GM, was to save money. When you're producing a vehicle of 100,000 units or 200,000 units or a million units, if we could save $1 here and 50 cents there, and that adds up and it contributes to the bottom line. And that was the approach that General Motors took to vehicle development and vehicle manufacture.
Okay, but I want to get to the point: should there be tougher government regulation and tougher fines?
I think perhaps there should be. I think perhaps there should be, quicker enforcement of the laws that are already in place. I think that better communication and, perhaps a little less collegial relationship between the overseer, in this case NHTSA, and the car company would benefit the consumer. I think certainly NHTSA is skeptical about manufacturer claims. At the same time, they have to work with the manufacturers most often to get information. I mean, that's just what's put in place now. So it's a bit of a balancing act for the administrators and the enforcement agency to police what's going on within car companies.
That was Jack Nerad, Executive Industry Analyst with Kelley Blue Book.